Silicon Connect is a startup company. What we are doing is to enable advanced packaging technology in Malaysia. We need to upskill the people who is doing the current legacy packaging to advanced packaging. I think it has to be trustable, right? And then it's somebody that you can work with, you can network with, which you can bring value. I think it will be RDL because it gives you the comprehensive need in terms of enabling the hybrid bonding technology and also the system in package.
But what convinced you that packaging is the strategic leverage point for Malaysia?
With the APC, right, advanced process control, coupled with copy exactly, then you make it into an ACE, advanced copy exactly. We have the Malaysian incentive to provide training for advanced packaging, and that will help to kind of upskill, reskill the engineers. When they do design, immediately they can get feedback from their design tool, which is linked to the DFX, that what is wrong, right? And that become a matrix for them to design it right the first time. But of course, the key thing is to get zero design violation. Right, we run it, and then that's the gold standard. And interesting part is that when we run it, when they launch the product, it's 2 years later. So we got to use of that technology 2 years ahead. Panel level is one of the area, and then moving forward, how do we embed all the rest of the technologies? So how do we get one quarter of that revenue stream coming from Malaysia, at least? Then we are on the right track. Right? And anything above that will be
happy days. From Malaysia's standpoint, we have to be able to crawl first. And in order to crawl, we have to get into the space of advanced packaging.
The key is to be pragmatic enough in a way that the dream is not a pipe dream. Silicon Connect, so we connect, right? And then we collaborate, because once you connect, you collaborate, which is what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
And then sometimes you co-develop, right? And then you create, right? And of course, after all this, you celebrate.
Today, we speak with YT Chin, CEO and founder of Silicon Connect, a distinguished leader with a remarkable career spanning over 20 years in the high-tech sector.
Highly respected for his work at multinational companies, including Intel and SanDisk, YT brings extensive expertise in innovative packaging solutions. His mission to pioneer Malaysia's first advanced packaging institute highlights his significant influence on regional talent development and manufacturing capabilities.
Prepare for an insightful discussion on navigating the talent bottleneck and driving advancements for AI and power electronics.
Let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to the Semiconductor Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Salah Nasri. And yes, whether you are a semiconductor veteran or someone who's just curious about semiconductor manufacturing, this is your podcast. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we've hit more than 200,000 views on the podcast, but only 3% are subscribed to the platform. So do me that favor, hit that subscribe button. We are on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. And as they say, it takes a village to raise a chip, and it takes subscribers to raise a podcast. So help me out. Other than that, greetings from Singapore. Today, we have YT Chin, COO and founder of Silicon Connect. YT, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Salah.
Great to have you here, YT. YT, I'm going to start off the session with a rapid question type of game with you. Just basically 5 questions and just answer as simple as possible so the viewers get to know who you are. In one line, what problem does Silicon Connect solve best today?
Yeah, Silicon Connect is a startup company. What we are doing is to enable advanced packaging technology in Malaysia.
Okay, beautiful. And what's the biggest bottleneck in Malaysia's packaging ecosystem right now? Is it substrates, materials, metrology, or talent?
In terms of the ecosystem today for advanced packaging, there are three things. If you look at it, the three T's, which is talent, especially when we are going into this high technology, right? We need to upskill the people who is doing the current legacy packaging to advanced packaging, right? And then of course there is technology, right? We are still in the legacy. We need to bring or enable technology. And of course, the business aspect of it, the trade aspect of it, like how to get the right businesses, right, especially in advanced packaging, into Malaysia. So these are the three areas we are looking at.
First three diagnostics before you greenlight a new partner or project.
First three diagnostic. I think it has to be trustable, right? And then it is somebody that you can work with, you can network with, which you can bring value. And then, of course, the third thing, I think it will be more of how it can expand the business from that aspect. So these are the three values.
RDL fan-out, hybrid bonding, or SIP, which will move the needle fastest in Southeast Asia?
I think it will be RDL because it gives you the comprehensive need in terms of enabling the hybrid bonding technology and also the system in package. So if you do RDL, you can cover all of it.
Most underrated DFX lever, DFM, DFT, DFR, or DFS?
I think it will be DFR. Right?
Okay. One early metric you watch to predict yield, warpage, coplanetary, or defect density? Defect density.
Defect density is one of it.
Okay. Reliability tests that you'd never skip. TC, HAST, drop, HTOL, or power cycling?
Thermal cycle, TC.
Okay. Quickest win you used to prove readiness in 60 days?
Quickest win in terms of?
In terms of pilot line preparation.
Yeah, the quickest win will be you get the prototype ready, right? Demonstrate the capability to build a product. So that would be the quickest.
Localize or import? What's your rule of thumb for capacity build versus global partnership?
I think both. First, I think for a country like Malaysia, which does not have the technology, first you have to import. Then, of course, slowly localize. Right? But I think these two ecosystems came hand in hand. So you have to have both necessary.
Government support that would help most. Shared pilot line, incentives, or standards lab?
Funding. I think that's the key one. Right.
Cool. Panel level package, promise or hype for Malaysia? Pick one.
It would be promise.
Glass core substrates in Southeast Asia, near-term priority or watch list?
Near-term priority.
Nice. One red flag in supplier proposals you never ignore?
Capabilities. Right, the way, for example, equipment, right, how the equipment is manufactured, right, how consistent they are. So these are the red flag to look for.
Okay. Your go or no-go rule for hybrid bonding projects?
Go, no go, technology, I think. That's the key.
Vertical with the hottest pool right now. AI accelerators, automotive or EV, power, that is silicon carbide or GaN, optics or networking, or consumer SIP?
I think the way I look at it, they have various opportunity and challenges, right? I will go with today, if I look at the current trend, AI, high performance computing is one of it. and then the other will be power electronics.
Okay. A KPI leaders neglect but shouldn't. Name one.
KPI that leaders neglect. Interesting. I think at the end of the day, it's cost. That is very important, right? That will drive the business.
Most valuable kind of partnership today. Equipment, materials, or university?
Equipment suppliers.
Which skill is most scarce in this region? Substrate design, thermomechanical modeling, FA or reliability, or advanced litho assembly?
Advanced litho assembly.
One habit that spreads quality culture across new lines quickly.
One habit. Reliability and customer. That is the two key one.
If you had 10% extra budget this quarter, YT, where does it go first?
Capabilities, technologies.
Equipment, basically.
Yes, equipment and technology.
What's the most overrated buzzword in packaging?
Overrated buzzword. Interesting. I'm not sure. I don't have an answer for that.
And the underrated one. What about underrated?
Underrated. Actually, nothing come into my mind. I think all in the past, if you look at it, right, packaging is always underrated.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, it's driving most law, right? So it's key now.
Fair. Finish the sentence. A world-class packaging hub feels like space to customers.
Solutions, applications.
A world-class packaging hub feels like solutions or applications to customers. And last one is one sentence of advice to founders trying to build advanced packaging capability in an emerging hub.
I think the talent, people talent is key, right? And of course, getting to the right technology, the right know-how, right, to build the capabilities. These are the key ingredients. Of course, the solution has to be pragmatic enough, right? Not looking at it from what do you call, from a glass castle, right?
Yes. Fair play. Well, thank you for doing the rapid fire round. So I want to go into a deeper element now with you, YT. So in terms of your career journey, I mean, what key roles and inflection points led you to found or lead Silicon Connect and focus on building Malaysia's advanced packaging ecosystem?
Yeah. So very interesting question. I started my career in Intel. I've been working for Intel for 20 years. Most of the time is in various technology, more of R&D. I was in packaging, materials development. I was in system manufacturing, and I was in test technology. And of course, I was working on fab backend at that time also at one stage. And then after that, I was in SanDisk, now Western Digital, and become SanDisk again. I was in the capacity of starting R&D department when I was in SanDisk. And then, of course, later on, I built my career running operation for the flash business in SanDisk. And, of course, going to technology development, pathfinding role at my later stage of the career. Mm-hmm. So as I was working on some of these pathfinding development solutions, that's where I get into advanced packaging. And I see that the future is going to be new and benefited the industry going to advanced packaging. And that will be the inflection point for semiconductor. This will be the new wave coupled with the trade challenges, right, with the countries. I see that will be an area that Malaysia, which has been here in the packaging world for 52 years. And going to packaging, to advanced packaging, Malaysia is lacking behind. And if we want to be a leader, we need to go into this area as soon as possible. And that's where gave me the idea of, I think 30 years in multinational company is sufficient. And I'm taking a big leap, going into the world of entrepreneur, right? Starting up into this area. And if I don't do it, it will never happen, right? So I decided to do it last year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a brave leap. But what convinced you that packaging is the strategic leverage point for Malaysia?
Yeah, I think if you look at it, Malaysia has always been in the back-end assembly and test, right? And going into advanced packaging, if we don't go into this area, it will be lagging behind, right? So that's why I think if I look at it, this is important. And back then, last year, I started to have conversation, right? Especially with the Malaysian Semiconductor Industry Association. And we did survey to look at the industry need in Malaysia. And that's how it came to be very clear that this will be one direction we need, in the needle that we need to move on.
I see. So in a space with consultants and integrators and service providers, what's distinctive about Silicon Connect's model and outcomes?
Yeah, so Silicon Connect is basically started, right, when we work with the government, looking at enabling the first Advanced Packaging Institute and Research Center. We call it APIC. And the intent is to build the ecosystem around. And basically, in order to do that, of course, we have to have a pilot line. Right. And then as a system builder, right, as a solution, we also work with our partners, right, equipment, ecosystem, right, materials to build, and technology, of course, to look at where is the role that fit into the business. Right. I think the key is that in this research center, I see that mostly are all driven by academics.
Right.
And what we are trying to do different is that we have people from my team, which are R&D based, who are in the multinational company, who works on interesting project, and they are the one that will help to bring the technology that is pragmatic to be used. And of course, then the key is to kind of align the technology to the market, to the business need.
Right.
So that's how I think will drive or make a difference in Silicon Connect to connect to the world, and therefore to kind of bring a different niche of solution to the industry.
So when you look at it from Silicon Connect's perspective, which capabilities are you prioritizing? Is it going to be the RDL fan-out? Is it going to be hybrid bonding? Is it going to be SIP? Is it going to be substrate or glass substrates or glass core substrates? Or is it going to be test and reliability?
We are looking at RDL, fan-out capabilities, right? Be it, in this case, fan-out, right? There are two different technologies. One is wafer level, and of course, the other one is panel level. I think we look at it, short term will be wafer level, right? The long term will be panel level.
Okay. And from your perspective, if your vision would be going from pilot to scalable flow, what does it take to turn a promising process module into a manufacturable SPC capable flow that local partners can run at a yield?
Yeah, I think the key thing is using advanced manufacturing, right? Like you mentioned just now, right? DFX, right? How to build DFX, all the design for, right? Design for manufacturability, design for defects, design yield, design for reliability. So all this has to be comprehended. The other key is that when we go into this advanced technology, advanced packaging, the margin of error become very little. And therefore, a lot of degree of automation is needed, right? And that's where I think automation is one of the area to kind of make sure that you get the consistent results. The other piece is, and as you look at it, in terms of SPC, there's a new term called advanced process control.
Right.
Where you want to be able to measure the equipment or the process, like a heartbeat,
Mm-hmm.
for example, right? Does it beat consistently? And basically, you look at how the equipment actually run, right? And are they making the right thrust, the right RPM, and all that? All of this is being measured as a heartbeat, right? And that's where you get consistency, right? If we are able to do that, in the past, in Intel, when I was doing Intel, right, we call it we call it copy exactly,
Copy exact model.
right? So I'm creating a new term in this case, right? With the APC, right, advanced process control, coupled with copy exactly, then you make it into an ACE, advanced copy exactly, right? And that will be driving how we can do a pilot to production skill, so that you can get it consistently and be able to duplicate it
Effectively.
every time when you are doing technology transfer.
So where would you say YT is the biggest bottlenecks today? Is it in the substrates? Is it in the advanced materials? Is it precision tooling? Do you think it's maybe metrology or even maybe trained operators? I mean, how is Silicon Connect closing them?
Yeah. Again, back to the question you have just now, right? Training is key, because if you look at Malaysia infrastructure, right, the human capital, you look at advanced packaging, you are looking into more of the mid end of fab, right? You have all the fab skill, and if you look at in Malaysia, there's not many companies who is doing fab, so the skill set is very limited, right? So one of the things that I think we need to build up, and part of what we are working with the government, is to create a policy, right? In the way that we have the Malaysian incentive to provide training for advanced packaging, and that will help to kind of upskill, reskill the engineers to this area. And of course, I think if you look at talent, from a resource standpoint, to grow Malaysia into a big packaging hub, right, we still need to have a lot of people that we need to talent. And in any countries right now, right, STEM is a challenge today, right? So we have to build that pool of talent, be it you have to cultivate young. One of the areas that I'm looking at is that instead of engineers, I think one of the areas that we haven't tapped enough is those resources that is coming from science or applied science. And that's where I think what the company will do is to kind of try to attract the talent. Right? In Saturday, I'm going to this Institute of Physics. They have all these graduates, right, which is in physics. And one of the talk that I'm going to do is to look at how does semiconductor and physics apply, right? Which is, if you look at it, right, it's very relevant. But then somehow in Malaysia, the physics students, they feel that they are lagging behind compared to engineers, which is not correct. So we want to change that perspective, and then try to get those students, right, or graduates, to be brave enough to venture into semiconductor.
So from your perspective, if you look at manufacturing readiness and scale, which DFX practices do you feel that will move the needle fastest for your partners? And how would you say you would embed them from day one?
Interesting. My experience was in SanDisk that time when we started the R&D. So we have a lot of challenge back then, especially going to flash SSD manufacturing, doing something new that SanDisk is more of a packaging. So one of the areas that we kind of embed was to create DFX, right? And then we try to build actually from nothing. looking at the specs, look at requirements, look at the customer issues, and then try to create list of DFX requirement. And from that, it was like 100, it become 1,000 design rules, right? And then the other piece is to kind of align, the designers won't like DFX. So how to get them to buy into the DFX with a system. It has to be system level and then embedded into the design. Meaning that when they do design, immediately they can get feedback from their design tool, which is linked to the DFX, that what is wrong, right? And that become a metrics for them to design it right the first time, right? So
I mean, okay, of course, with that type of element involved is that metrics will matter. So I would be intrigued from your perspective, YT, is like, which KPIs do you track to prove readiness? I mean, based on your experience, is it going to be like the yield? Is it going to be the cycle time? Is it the warpage? Is it going to be the field returns? And most importantly, which early warnings do you watch?
Yeah, I think it's all of the above, right? But of course, the key thing is to get zero design violation as soon as
zero design
violation
okay.
From the DFX requirement, right? You have a certain rule. The component need to be with certain distance from the edge and all that, right? And then if the design rule is critical or, you can allow, right? So these are some of the, right? Those critical to function, we don't allow it to happen, right? And how many waivers that you allow, right? Of course, you want it to be zero waivers if possible, right?
Right.
So these are the key indicator, right? That you are designing it right. Then, of course, the rest of the indicator, if it follows, then it's a feedback tool. Right? If you follow the design, do you still have issues? Right? That will be the feedback, right? Feedback forward, right, to the designers or to the design rules, that do we need to still change the design?
So on that note, I mean, could you share a non-confidential example where you co-developed a packaging solution with a customer and then which led to a problem, which led to an approach, and then a measurable outcome?
Interesting. Well, I not towards the customer yet, because we are still in the planning stage of creating the pilot line, which will be ready next year. But in terms of during my multinational experience, one of the things is that it has to be a very good preposition, right? In terms of the application, right? The needs for the change, especially why do you need to go new if you can use the old methods to do it, right? So it need to be cheaper, faster, better performance, right? Smaller form factors, right? So it has to have a value proposition, right? Right, and not that it has to be a return of investment, right? Then there is always the challenge of how to convince the business unit, right? In this case, the customer, right? If you turn it around, right? To kind of adopt that solution, and do they buy into the vision of doing it?
So what would you say, I mean, from your, let's say, experience or what you're seeing right now? I mean, you mentioned in the rapid fire question that the most scarce skill in this region today is pretty much advanced litho and assembly, right? So how are you going to build that, or how are you going to tackle that?
Okay, so basically from a pilot line, of course, there's the academic part, the science part, right? That is easy to solve in a way that the theory behind the application, right? That can be through bringing talents, bringing experts who have experience to come and share their knowledge.
Right.
So that's one area, right? The other part is the application, the practical part of it. That has to do with you have to have equipment, pilot line,
Yes.
right? And we want to embed those elements as part of training for the participants, right, or the trainees to be going into the process to practice, to use the tools, to learn by themselves, to make mistakes, and to learn by it.
By experience.
Yeah.
And from your perspective then, what's going to be your model for ramping technicians and engineers there?
Yeah.
And most importantly, how are you going to measure the proficiency as well?
Yeah, I think, so the interesting is we have this ATMP program, Advanced Technology Master Program, that we are working with the Northern Corridor Economic Region, which is agencies, which we are working part of the government, is to look at creating a 6-month course, right, which embedded both the theory aspect of it plus the experiential experience of it, right? So as at the end of the training, right, the participants to this program will be trained, and basically the key measurement is they need to be embedded into the industry and really applying this knowledge, right? Yes. That will be the key test element of success of the program.
So one thing that you mentioned that it is vital to have this collaboration with equipment and material vendors who essentially will help shape your roadmap. From your experiences previously at Western Digital, SanDisk, or Intel or whatnot, what would be the key lessons that you learned from there with regards to aligning specs, samples, and qualification?
Okay, interesting. I'll take it a different spin from my experience.
Okay. Non-confidential.
Let me see. I think should be non-confidential. Right? So one of the things that we were doing was we want to do automation, and SanDisk or Western Digital is a leader in this area, and good to know. I think I'm going to brand it for the company that they, at the end of the day, the company got a lighthouse manufacturing from the World Economic Forum. So that is a good
example.
And the process of doing it is that when we work with our equipment supplier, it has to be long-term. In the way, at that time, when we were working on some of the system manufacturing, SMT, one of the biggest challenges was in the placement too, where the tape and reel, they have to fit in. And today, it has to be manually done.
Right.
So we work with a Japanese company saying that, hey, instead of people loading it, how do we make it automated? Right? And typically they just, very difficult, right? But interestingly, after a year, they didn't say anything. Hey, YT, come over. I have the solution in Japan. Have a look at it, right? And
they did it.
They did it. We went to look at the facility, fully automated, right? Cassette driven. And then, of course, when I asked them, hey, how long does it take? Typical Japan, they are very meticulous, right? They look at quality. They will not be ready to deliver the solution without proper validation. So they told me 2 years, right? Then of course, the discussion was, hey, how about we work with you? Don't worry about the problems that you will encounter, right? Treat us as a guinea pig. We will use your tool, right? You are not obligated. We will help you to scale, right? So put the equipment there for us to run, right? And it was the first out of Japan too, right? They decided to put it in Malaysia, right? We run it, and then that's the gold standard. And interesting part is that when we run it, when they launch the product, it's 2 years later. So we got to use of that technology 2 years ahead.
Remarkable. So from, one of the key things, we've been in the advanced packaging game since the beginning. When I say since the beginning, since it was like nobody cared about advanced packaging in 2010 to 15 or so. And one of the key things that the buzzwords kind of faded away, YT. It was always, I think, post-pandemic, we were always hearing this term standards. There needs to be standards, there needs to be standards, there needs to be standards. But these standards are not in place anymore. Well, not anymore. They're not even in place. Where do you think, YT, the industry needs standards the most today? Is it the chiplet interfaces? Is it the substrate test methods? Or is it the reliability protocols?
I think I look at it mostly the chiplet interface, the design aspect of it, right? But again, there are people who's working on it.
But how would Silicon Connect potentially contribute to that dialogue?
That will be an interesting question, right? Let me give you an example. It's always a challenge of standards and alignment, right? Today, if you look at panel level packaging, right? From the standard, it's everywhere. There are 300 millimeter discussion. There are 500 mm discussion, and there are people who is going beyond 600, right? And then different companies will have it differently. One is because maybe the technology challenge to overcome, right? The other is that that may be a selling point to differentiate the technology, right? I can do bigger panel, therefore better cost, for example, right? And if you want to standardize it, it's not so easy because different people will have different idea, right? So certain times, some of this standard may come about after a while. You may have to let the dust settle, right? Before we can move forward. So there are certain things that we can align and that requires to align because of there is a purpose. And then there are certain that is because of just want to align because of try to standardize to one system, right? Of course, if you standardize, one thing is that you standardize all the equipment set, right? That's the beauty part of it. But it's not an easy challenge to overcome. But of course, if an industry leader taking a role and say, hey, I'm going to go there, which is happening now, you can see that now the industry is gravitating to that solution, right?
Right. If we look at the future outlook, and maybe one can even mention Malaysia's role, YT, from your perspective, let's say 3 to 5 year inflection point, or which advances, and I'm maybe brought it up in the rapid fire, but I'd love to go a little bit more deeper. Panel level packaging, glass core substrates, hybrid bonding, or co-package optics will Malaysia have the most competitive position?
Interesting.
3-5 years time.
I think panel level is one of the area, which is what Silicon Connect has been monitoring and what we are aspiring, right? And of course, with the conversation with our local OSAT, this will be the direction to move forward, right? And of course, the rest are all very important ingredients, which we want to embed into the solution, right? So of course, panel level, then of course, the core optics, which need to be embedded into the solution, right?
Right.
Or glass core, can we enable glass core to also enable it embedded into the solution? This will be the area that I will look 3 years and above, right? For the first and the third year, panel level, right? And then moving forward, how do we embed all the rest of the technologies?
When we look at a North Star goal, YT, what would you say will be the milestones that will signal that Malaysia, or maybe even you can include this ASEAN region, is a true global node for advanced packaging?
Okay, so if you look at the statistic, right, 13% of the technology for semiconductor is in Malaysia, right? Of course, if you look at revenue standpoint, it's about 1 quarter, right? The industry is about 600 billion semiconductor revenue, 650, right? Malaysia is about 180
Billion.
right? So it's about 1 quarter, right? So if we look at the same scaling, if we look at 2030, for example, the expectation with the 8.5 or 10% CAGR, we're expecting about 90 billion for advanced packaging, right? So how do we get one quarter of that revenue stream coming from Malaysia, at least? Then we are on the right track, right? And anything above that will be
Happy days.
happy days.
You think it's possible?
Yes. With the talent, with the know-how, with the experience from the 50 years that we have grown, I think we are able to, if we put our mindset into it.
What about the other regions that are already well established? Like Taiwan as well. Taiwan's got solid.
No challenge.
doubt.
I think they are ahead, right? I think US is also growing, right? And I think they have the right approach going to the CHIP Act, getting all the university into the program, right? Creating this technology hub, I think is on the right track. And the question is, how do we embed that into the industry and try to bring manufacturing back to the States, right?
Right.
So that's one area. And then, of course, I think the other interesting part is the China infrastructure that is building from their early days, right, till now. Their growth is tremendously fast. So I think these are the three nations.
So it'd be like China, Taiwan,
and US.
And US.
These are the key.
And you think this region has a chance to enter that?
From a manufacturing standpoint, but from an ecosystem, we are still far behind, which, it will take time. I think you have to, there's a word, you have to crawl, walk, right? So I think from Malaysia's standpoint, we have to be able to crawl first. And in order to crawl, we have to get into the space of advanced packaging.
Right.
Right? Build the ecosystem infrastructure upfront.
YT, one practical piece of advice for founders or leaders trying to set up or stand up advanced packaging capability in an emerging hub.
Yeah, I think the key is to be pragmatic enough in a way that the dream is not a pipe dream.
Sure.
Right? And then look at the cost of it. Key thing is that when you look at the technology, the cost of advanced packaging is huge, right? So in order to leverage, it's a big game to play, right? And the solution, the technology has to be workable and within the reach, right? So these are some of the consideration that is required, so that then the dream can be realized, right? So it has to be pragmatic enough.
Wrapping up the podcast, YT, if listeners remember one thing about Silicon Connect's mission and Malaysia's opportunity, what should it be?
Okay, I always have this slogan, and it's kind of aligning to when I go to semiconductor conference, right? And also the current ISID.
Fab Leaders Summit. Yeah.
Yeah, so Silicon Connect. So we connect, right? And then we collaborate, because once you connect, you collaborate, which is what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
And then certain time you co-develop,
Yes.
right? And then you create, right? And of course, after all this, you celebrate.
So it's all C.
5 C's, right? And then multiple C's.
Then you champion, and then maybe convince.
Yes. So it's interesting, right? And I think for the Fab Summit, there's the other C, right, which you use. You connect, collaborate,
and community.
And community, right? You build the community. So these are all in alignment.
Yes, valid point. Do you have any other last comments you want to share, YT? Or?
Well, I think it's good. I think we are in the threshold of something that will change, right? In the past, I was in packaging for 30 years, right? In the past, when I was in Intel, right, for example, a lot of technology manufacturing, say, for example, you have 10 slides, right? 9 slides are all fab related.
Yeah.
And then maybe you have one slide that talk about packaging, right? If you look at now, it's different game now. You can see a lot of conference talk about advanced packaging, right? That will, and in fact, the current Semiconductor that we went, right? There's a mention that the advanced packaging is actually trying to, or rescuing the Moore's law, so that you become more Moore's and more than Moore's, right? So I think we are, for me at least, from a package engineer, right? These are the times, the exciting time for packaging engineer to innovate and create new technologies and solutions.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you mention that, because when I look at the history of ISIG, we were the only platform in the world for a good amount of years where we were capable of having the head of advanced packaging at Intel, TSMC, and Samsung on the same stage.
Yeah.
You will never see this on the front end side of things. And interestingly enough, you might know the gentleman, he's our chairman of our board, is Dr. Hamid Azimi. So Dr. Hamid Azimi said to me in 2015, he said, stop focusing on all these different things. Just focus on advanced packaging. And at the time, we also had another key board member. Now he's our board member as well, is Dr. Marvin Liao from TSMC. And both of them over the years, you can see the landscape changing. And no other conference was focusing on advanced packaging. And even when we were reaching out to design houses, we would say to them, hey, come and join us. And they would say to us, no, you're too advanced packaging focused. So then a miracle happened when the pandemic situation came into play. And then AI came into play, and then chiplets came into play. Now, every design house you can think of that is doing well is involved with us because of advanced packaging. Yeah. And I think this is like one of those things where it's kind of, the back end now is just as important as the front end.
Yeah. And thanks to you and your team, right? I think you guys have done a tremendous job, right? Creating this platform, right? And that will help to kind of bring all the technology leaders, right, from different countries, different continents, right,
yes,
into a platform that we can collaborate on
together.
That's a great achievement, Salah.
Yeah, no, thank you, YT. We couldn't do it without you guys as well, who come up with the research and technologies. But now, YT, again, I wish you all the best with Silicon Connect. I really look forward to it becoming a fruition for the years to come, and looking forward to having another podcast with you to discuss how the progress is going with Silicon Connect. So I wish you the sincere best and success in this.
Thank you. And hopefully the next podcast, I can show you some progress with videos and cool stuff, right?
Yes, very much looking forward to that, YT. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to the Semiconductor Leadership Podcast with YT Chin. You can reach out to YT on LinkedIn. Just below here, you can click on his profile and connect with him and discuss further. If you feel that you can be able to help him out with Silicon Connect, you can just simply reach him out on LinkedIn. That's the way forward. Other than that, like I said, if you enjoyed the podcast, please click that like button, comment, share, and most importantly, hit that subscribe button. At the end of the day, like I said, it takes subscribers to make a podcast and it takes a village to raise a chip. Until then, I'll see you at the next episode. Take care and bye for now.